You know, we really gotta stop meeting like this. Hello, and welcome back to the channel. I am, of course, the Gunpla Guy, your host with the most, and I'm very excited for what we have in store today. It's something pretty special, and it kind of drove me a little crazy, but before we get into the fun of today's video, let's have a small word from our sponsor. Are you feeling a little down this holiday season? Or just losing your mind trying to get your loved ones, your family, your significant other, that perfect last-minute gift? Well, I'm going to tell you a little secret here. Come a little closer. Okay, you really can't come that close. The secret is the gift of Gunpla. I'm telling you, I'm going to trademark that maybe, if it's not already trademarked. Anyways, today's sponsor is, of course, the Gundam Galaxy. I know I've already talked about them, but I'm going to continue to talk about them until each and every one of you does your basic human right to either go visit them if you can, or go check out their website at www.thegundamgalaxy.com. That link will be in the description below, and if I can figure it out by the time this video comes up, their logo is going to be down here somewhere. I know you've seen it in a video or two before. I'm going to try and find a way for you to click on that right there, and it will take you right to the website. I know, technology is nuts. Anyways, I know I've already said it, but I'm going to keep saying it. The Gundam Galaxy is your one-stop shop for absolutely everything you need. From the hundreds of model kits out there that I've already discussed, to the paints, to the tools, to the know-how and experience. I'm telling you, you're not going to be disappointed if you check them out, and you're going to get the best prices around. I guarantee it. I'm on YouTube now, so you can take my word. There's the thumbs up there. But anyways, let us get started on today's video. Due to the sheer amount that this kit has, I'm going to start this video off slightly differently. Before we get into the articulation, I wanted to show you all of its accessories first. We obviously have our Armed Armor DE, that's Defense Extension, if I can remember correctly. They can separate, just a peg holds them in there. Easy as pie. Then the tails here. We'll get to those shortly, though. Oh, losing everything. Then we've got the Armed Armor VN. That would be vibration nail here. You'll see how they go on shortly. Or they'll just fall off. Then we've obviously got the Unicorn Standard Equipment Beam Magnum. We've got a pair of Beam Saber parts. We've got the Armed Armor HJ, that's Hyper Beam Javelin, in its completely folded mode, and in its unfolded mode. And this has a separate section, I'll tell you now, so that way there, I won't forget to do it later, if I can remember how that connects in. I promise I am a professional. There we go. Very, very long weapon right there. But as I said, we will get into that shortly. Then we have his one shield. Only one that it comes with there. Fairly straightforward and simple though. And of course we can't forget about the Armed Armor BS. Don't laugh. That would be Beam Smart Gun for those uninitiated. There's its extended form, and because there's no transformation with this high grade, here's its non-extended form. We'll get into what that's for in a little bit. And then last but not least, we've got the Armed Armor XC. That would be Xeno Connect. I will show you how these attach on shortly. They have one section that moves there. Figured I'll get that out of the way now. They don't really play into too much of it. So, and then of course, we've got the Unicorn himself. He's got two beam sabers on the rear there, and he's got his two beam sabers on the sides that can pop out and be known as beam tonfas. And of course, the effect parts can go on any one of those four. But now that that's done, let's get everything together and get this headache out of the way. You will see shortly, trust me. Now, I was just going to slap this all together off video and bring it back up, but I figured I'd try my luck at showing you how it all comes together as a full video here. So, we take our obvious unicorn here. We take off these two parts for his beam sabers. We'll just take those off, and then small little part there that comes off. These no longer become valid in its perfectibility mode, but I figured I'd show you if you don't want to attach everything onto it, you can absolutely just build a blue Psycho Frame unicorn there. So we'll get started with the XC. Those plug into where I just took off those gray parts for the holders for beam sabers. Those just plug into there. There we go. You will see a common theme with everything on this kit, or most things I should say. Quite finicky, but as I said, we'll get into that shortly. So those just sit there. They're a fairly secure spot. Then we'll get... Actually, we'll hold off on the backpack just for a moment. Let's get the Beam Smart Gun in. If I can figure out which way I want to do it first. It's folded up mode. So it just separates into two pieces here. If I can actually show you, I apologize there. Two pieces. One goes on one side, one goes on the other. Now you see this little peg part that sticks out? That goes right into the holes there. Sorry if you can't really see that. If I can remember which way it goes in. You know, it doesn't matter how much I recite these videos and practice, I always seem to forget to do something to it. Well then, this is a little embarrassing. Hold on a second. Technical difficulties aside, I've got the one side plugged in there. As I said, doesn't matter how many times I try and do this off camera, as soon as I press that record button, everything goes to heck. And that's it completely folded up. And then we will equip the vibration nails next, once I put this part on. As you'll see, the part that fell off, it basically just sticks in a very specific way there and sits there. Very simple. And the same holds true as the other side. There's that little peg there, sticks into the holes on one side and the other there. Provided everything does not fall apart on this kit, we'll get there. And yep, that is going to fall off again. Sorry about that. And there's that on. Once again, I've done this quite a few times before I started recording, and it gets all messed up afterwards. All right, let's get that backpack on. Let's take a quick look at that backpack with nothing else there. There's a very specific connector point there that goes into there. Once again, I apologize if that's a little blurry. And that just sticks in there. And then we have to pull the hand off to put the javelin on. I don't really care for its unfolded, or folded mode, I should say. So we'll keep it in its unfolded mode. I mean, this is the full destroy mode, right? We've got to go all out with this thing. The hand is just a typical high-grade hand. Separates like so. Then we'll get this on there. Very specific spot that goes into. And then, if I can do this time without stopping. There we go. It's not a terrible connection. It's not a great connection. Yes, that falls off all the time. We're going to get to that momentarily. Sorry again. And there he is in all of his glory. And I wanted to make sure that he was fully armored up so you can really see how this articulation is going to go down. I'm not ready for it, but let's just get into it now. We will start right from the top with the head, of course. It has its up and down as it's on a ball joint. It has 360 degrees of rotation. If you're fairly cautious, that was just a beam saber. I had forgotten to mention there's a slot there and a slot there for the beam sabers. They don't stay worth of crap, though. Apologize for the language. And there, 360 degrees. Now, before I continue, I will mention that white part with the V fin there. Those two parts very, very, very often will fall off if you're not careful. So a bit of super glue or such will help fix that. Now, there's a separate part for the head that allows it to go back a bit more. Hopefully you can actually see that there. Doesn't really do too much, gives them a little bit more range to go up. I don't really find it that helpful though. Onward march to the shoulders. Now the shoulder, we will take this off for just a moment so I can really show you here. There's a peg there and the polycap hole there. Now this has a separate section here that hopefully you'll be able to see. It lifts up a bit more, giving it a bit more range for the arm. Now the shoulder, of course, I'm just going to set him down for a moment, has a bit of its own range there outside of just the arm, but it is, however, attached to the arm completely. Let's put it back on so we can get the full extent of that extension. So that's about as far up as it'll go. If you pull that in slightly more, it will go up slightly more as the forearm part likes to get in the way. Now with that extra extension we just talked about, gives it a tiny bit more range. Not really too much though. And where the elbow joint is just two pieces put together like so. It can go up about that far. And that's about that there. Now, one of the things I will also mention is it's probably not going to do it on the camera. It starts to separate after a while. That happens as well. That's just a peg that goes into there. Those fall off constantly. There it is there, if you can see in between those gray parts. Starting to split. Happens with all of these unicorns. I will mention, as I'll say at the end though, this is a 2011 base kit, so take with that what you will. The hand is on its normal polycap. Can't really get into it with the claws though, but it does have full 360 degree rotation there. Onto the waist. We've got a little bit of back and forth there. And provided 700 things don't fall off, we can do a complete 360 degrees there. There we go. Now before I move on to the legs, let me do the front skirting armor. Goes up like so. You can cut the middle part of it inside and have them articulate separately. Some kits I do that, some kits I don't. It's all based on a preference there. And, oh, I had forgotten to mention, I'm not sure if I did, there's a bit of side to side, just a ball joint in there that connects the waist to the torso, so you've got a little bit of motion. Anyways, let's do it on this side because we don't have that hyper beam javelin. We'll set that down for just a moment. The side skirts have a bit of up and down, and a bit of side to side. And the rear skirts, it's going to be kind of hard to see. That was probably just the other beam saber. Not a problem. Well, we really are just losing everything, aren't we? The rear skirts, the main part of it doesn't actually move, but these two armor pieces do extend upwards, and they are notorious for being banged off. There's a little pair of thrusters in there. He is looking a little battle damaged. Hold on just a moment. Actually, you know what? No, we're going to continue on with the articulation before we put him back together. So that was the waist. Then we have the legs here. They're just on a polycap. Also, as I noticed just today earlier, a piece in here, this white section, does like to separate, causing the entire leg to fall off if you're not careful. This is definitely not a kit you want to play with. You kind of set it and leave it behind. Anyways, with that front skirting armor that moves up, the leg can go up a somewhat decent amount. He can pretty much do the can. Yes, I just said can. And outward, he can't even do maybe half a split at best. Unfortunate. No gymnastics for this guy. The knee has a fairly decent bend to it there. Let me put that back there so you can see all the way back. Now, I also noticed today, thank goodness I was checking it out, that after a while, because it's just like the arm, it will just fall off. Fantastic. Definitely premium Bandai. Anyways, there's a slight bit of movement in this skirt here, and the actual leg itself, or foot itself I should say, well, I did have a piece I was missing earlier. I know exactly where the piece is, so don't worry. I was wondering where it fell off at. We'll do this side. There's the full foot as it should be. Has a bit of forward to backward, and a bit of side to side. Just another ball joint in there. And that, I believe, is the articulation for that. Unfortunately, the vibration nails, as you notice, they don't move at all. Look really cool, though. And as a last bit of articulation, the DE, Defense Extension, doesn't really have much for articulation on its own. When it's on the kit, I'll show you in a moment, you can pivot these as they're just balls. And there's a ball joint that connects the main part of the tail stabilizers. Yes, tail stabilizers. Almost forgot the name. They do have a bit of turning there. And as you notice, there's 1, 2, 3 separate points where they can actually be adjusted accordingly. As they stand, they are very loose. I haven't really done too much with this kit, and they're already slightly loose. That's just the way they are. Honestly, this is actually sturdier than the Unicorn 03 Fenix gold coated that I have. No, I'm absolutely not doing a review of that kit. Those, the tail extenders, tail stabilizers, sorry, they just like to fall off on their own. So we're not going to go into that one. But let's get him back together. And there he is back together. But before we wrap this review up, you know what time it is. I'm really not looking forward to this. It's the shaky test, of course. We already have seen what this kit is capable of, but let's just see. Watch, now everything's not going to fall off just because of this. Well, we knew that was coming. Yep. Anything else? And oh, that's beautiful. Well, he's much more stable now. He's lost his hand, part of it anyways, but he is otherwise still fairly intact. Let's see here. Sorry about that. Didn't realize I was out of view. Yes, he still holds up. Perfect. And that right there is the review. Wait. Oh, crap. Hold on 1 second. And that right there is the review. And that's it for the review. What can I say that hasn't already been said? Poor articulation, complete hand grenade. I unfortunately cannot recommend this kit. It really pains me because I have a personal love for this mobile suit, and I will say this thing is absolutely gorgeous looking, but looks alone aren't enough, and there's a truck passing by. Sorry about that. Anyways, no. Do not get this kit. Do not seek it out unless you really absolutely need it. It's just not good. And that right there is that. If I could have you please like, share, and subscribe if you would like to see more content, if you like what you have already seen, and if you don't like this content, then you should really like, share, and subscribe, because nothing will get me more than that. However, I won't waste any more of your time. I hope you all have a good day, good evening, good night, whenever you want to watch this. And as always, build on. Thank you very much.